Welcome back, and we're now going to be talking to a very fiery Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, former journalist and professional communicator, who is currently spokesperson for NUMSA, and I'm really very sorry that we only have about 3 minutes with her. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. I absolutely loved what you put out on social media. Do you want to tell us more about it, please?
Good morning, and good morning to your audience. Thank you so much for having me on the show. So I was watching all this fracas emerging after the American president made the announcement that on the basis of South Africa's land policy, which is that recent bill which was enacted, the Land Expropriation Act, that they are now going to give racist white South Africans refugee status and withdraw aid. And if you recall, this already has been on the cards for a while now. They've already threatened us with that when they basically froze the USAID funding. And we know that the USAID contributes about 17% to the healthcare budget. So when that announcement was made, I just thought, there are people who I see who feel like this is bad news. But in my view, this is probably the best thing that could ever happen to us, because America is saying that they are going to take the worst of South Africans. These are the guys that shoot black people for fun and pretend they're monkeys. These are the same people that will bury black people alive. These are the same people that will feed black women to their pigs. They're saying they want to take the scum of the earth in South Africa, those that have been basically blocking any kind of progress. They want to bring them to America. They will fund their lifestyles and they will give them refugee status. How can that be a bad thing? As South Africans, we should celebrate, because these are the obstacles of progress. And finally, perhaps now we can start to really move in transforming this African economy. So I did come up with a very cheeky TikTok post, which I released just to sort of remind South Africans, but also to remind Americans what it is that they're actually signing up for, that their taxes, and by the way, the reason they voted Trump in was to reduce their tax burden, but now they're about to increase their tax burden by accepting the vilest migrants into their country.
Okay, I know you have to go. Your thoughts on Trump's current actions regarding migrants, sending migrants back to India, Mexico, South America. How do you view that? And I've seen some horrific pictures regarding how these people are herded onto planes, onto their aircraft, the carriers, and just the way they're treated whilst they're being herded onto and off the planes.
Well, I think a lot of us should not be surprised about the Trump presidency as it is. I've written a few opinion pieces on Donald Trump, and how I've even said that Donald Trump alliance with Elon Musk is a bromance made in right-wing heaven. It's been published in IOL. And already when Trump was campaigning, he made it very clear what his position was on foreign nationals and migrants. And MAGA is really all about that. The MAGA campaign, which elevated Donald Trump back into the presidency, is all about scapegoating foreign nationals for the genuine crisis that capital has created for the population in America. You have a very serious cost of living crisis that is affecting ordinary Americans. Normal Americans are unable to live month to month, day to day. They are struggling like we are struggling. And so what Donald Trump does, and what all fascists do, is they basically find groups of people to scapegoat. So they have scapegoated the transgender community. They are scapegoating the migrant community. Understand that they're coming for black people if they haven't already started. So this is how it works. This is right-wing agenda in the making. And Trump is literally, the most powerful right-wing president that currently exists today. And him being President of the United States sends a message to all right-wing organizations and politics and political parties all over the world. It emboldens them. So it is very tragic that foreign nationals are being mistreated in this way. This is not something that we should ever support. I do think, however, though, that what Trump is doing also is reminding us as South Africans that we need to also learn to be more self-sufficient. We cannot, for example, throw our hands up in the air when we're told that America is now going to withhold funding for healthcare, and now we're just going to sit and panic. We already, from long ago, and by the way, the organization that I represent, NUMSA, has said many times that we should be a far more sovereign state, a far more autonomous state, a state that is not dependent on grants and aid. And now that he's done this, our response to this should be to be more self-sufficient, less dependent on aid. And we should actually go on a very strong manufacturing drive. We should actually, give America a reason to act. I mean, why don't we just nationalize the land then? We should nationalize the land, nationalize the minerals, use the proceeds of that to fund quality healthcare and quality education for our citizens. That's what we should do. We should act in our interest. America is acting in its interest by taking on these very racist policies. As South Africa, we need a response, and that response cannot be us, putting out more begging bowls to other parts of the world. We've got a strong relationship with BRICS. We should actually be building on our relationship with BRICS. As it stands right now, China is South Africa's leading trading partner. So we should be leveraging off that relationship so that whatever happens in America does not affect us here.
You are just actually voicing the same sentiments that Christo van der Reede voiced a little earlier on ex-Agri South Africa. And I think we all believe we have similar sentiments as well. Please just indulge me for 1 minute longer. I do know you need to go. But what are your thoughts? And this has really been plaguing my mind. What are your thoughts pre the election in America that the majority of Middle Eastern people, Middle Eastern Americans voted for Trump? What were they thinking? And now look what's playing out. He's wanting to clear out Palestine and make it into a resort. He wants the Palestinians to be absorbed by other Middle Eastern countries. And I think that's the master plan as far as he and Netanyahu is concerned. Question number one. Question number two, I just cringe when I watch American TV, CNN, and other such channels, and I see Black people in defense of Donald Trump, not seeing what is done and still continues doing and marginalizing the Black people in America and beyond, and still looks upon Black and brown people as second-class citizens or citizens with no class at all.
No, I think, what is really painful is that Trump was very clear about his agenda. I think a lot of people were not listening. And I think the problem was you had two issues. You had a Democratic Party in America at that time, which was supposed to be a party that represented the hopes and aspirations of the working class majority, of people of color, of Arab Americans, etc. But instead, this Democrat Party, whilst they were speaking or saying all the right things, their actions were the complete opposite. It was not a coincidence that Joe Biden was given the nickname Genocide Joe, because it was under his administration that the most, the worst of the bombings that we've ever seen against Palestinian people, that took place under his administration. He kept claiming that he was negotiating a peace deal, but it was very clear to everyone, anyone with eyes could see that this man wasn't even trying, wasn't even making an effort. So I think the problem we had here was that people were so, and to use a South African term, they were so heartful of Joe Biden that it was like anything is better than Joe Biden. Now, the problem with that mentality of anything or anyone is better than Joe Biden is that you will unfortunately make the mistake of voting for your own butchers, which is exactly what happened in this case. So because Joe Biden was, in the view of many people, and justifiably so, the worst thing that could happen, particularly to the Palestinians, people didn't think that things could get worse than what they were. And I mean, we all felt that way. The reality is it actually can get worse under Donald Trump. And so they didn't pay as much attention to what he was saying. They didn't pay attention, for example, to the fact that during his first presidency, this man did more than any other president to empower apartheid Israel. They weren't really listening to that. They weren't really focusing on that. And unfortunately, they got the shock of their lives when they realized that, Trump has always been a maker deals kind of guy. And when he looks at Gaza, he sees a golf resort. He doesn't give it. He couldn't care less about human rights abuses and the rights of Palestinian people to have their own land and their struggle. He couldn't be bothered. What he thinks of is Trump Towers and a golf resort. And that's exactly what he's going to pursue. And it is unfortunate that many Arab Americans and Muslim Americans were misled because they were so desperate to replace Genocide Joe. They didn't see that there was another evil on the horizon. So what does this mean for the working class in America going forward? It just means that, in future, people need to be more circumspect about understanding manifestos, actually reading, taking the time to do the research on what a person's previous record is. But more importantly, it shows us that if you look more closely at American politics and who has benefited, the billionaire class continues to benefit in America. In fact, they have made more money post elections than they did prior. So it means that from an economics perspective, the Democrats and the Republicans are one and the same. And what American people need to be doing is they really now need to get serious about setting up an alternative. They thought Trump was the alternative. Trump was never the alternative. A genuine alternative is built and based off the demands of the working class. And I'm so happy to see that in response to this, you have seen on the grassroots in America a mushrooming of movements like the Green Party, which has emerged, and other left-leaning formations, which are really pushing a very radical leftist agenda. And hopefully this will create space for a genuine socialist movement to take root in the heart of America. And I think if that happens, that'll be good news for socialists and progressive people all over the world.
Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, I look forward to having a much more in-depth discussion with you on another platform, but we will be in touch. I just want to close off by saying thank you indeed for your time. And when I look at Trump and hear his rantings and Elon Musk, all I can say is they have developed godlike kind of images of themselves, and that is so frightening and so very disgusting. But we will talk some more. Thank you indeed for indulging us. Till the next time, God bless.
Thank you so much for having me, and good day to all your listeners. Thank you.
That was Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, former journalist and professional communicator. She's currently the spokesperson for NUMSA. It is 11 after 9 o'clock, and we're moving along. We do hope that you are enjoying and giving thought to the conversations we're having right here on News and Views on Salam Media.